Unfortunately, in today's video, we are going to be talking about 2 extremely sad weeks of reselling. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I'm a part-time reseller on a variety of platforms, and I've been doing this now for is it like 5 years or something like that? And if there's one thing that I've learned in all of my time reselling, it is that reselling is extremely unpredictable. Just because you might be doing really well when it comes to reselling and your sales look like this, something will eventually happen to cause those sales to take a nosedive. And oftentimes there's just no explaining it. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's because you went on a trip or you just kind of got burnt out and you stopped listing. But sometimes really these things just come out of nowhere and you're left scratching your head asking yourself, what did I do wrong? The next 2 weeks that we're going to talk about were kind of like that. They were just really rough. And part of the reason as to why my sales were so bad in this 2-week span is because one of those weeks I was in Cancun with my brother's family and with my parents. So I wasn't even here. I wasn't listing. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. But also they were just stinky. They were just rough times. So we're going to go ahead and talk about those 2 weeks. We are talking about March 13th through March 26th. And we're going to start by talking about Monday, which was March 13th. The first thing to sell on eBay was this Gander Mountain blue full zip fleece lined jacket in a men's size 2 extra large tall. It had pockets, and it was something that I got from a reseller who didn't want to resell clothing anymore. So she sold me all of her clothing. I got 2 boxes worth of just jackets, and none of them were amazing brands. A lot of them were brands that I had never heard of before. I had heard of Gander Mountain, didn't really know if it was going to be worth that much. Turns out it wasn't worth a whole lot. It was worth $24. That's what someone was willing to pay me for this. I had $2 into it because that's how much I paid per item from that reseller. So I made a net profit of $19.30. Part of what I'm taking away from the experience of buying out other resellers' inventory is I'm trying to learn about brands from these different resellers. You know, there are people out here who are picking up very different things than I am. And from these various resellers, I've learned about some new brands that now I'm on the lookout for every time I go sourcing. But I've also learned about some brands that maybe I had kind of wondered about before, but didn't have any experience with. And I've, gotten my definitive answer of, this is not really worth listing. This brand, Gander Mountain, in my opinion, is not really worth listing. I do think I've sold one other piece by this brand, and it was a pair of boots. Those did pretty well, but these kind of fleece lined lightweight jackets, not really the kind of thing that's going to make you a lot of money by this brand. That was it for Monday. So moving on to Tuesday, which was March 14th. On eBay, I sold this pair of Keen Portsmouth 2 brown nubuck leather lace-up shoes in a men's size 9. These sold from a full asking price of $39.99. I had $5.99 into them from a Goodwill in a town about an hour away. It's called Peoria. So at that Goodwill, I picked these up, and I made a net profit on those of $26.52. Keen is one of my very favorite shoe brands to resell, and one of the main reasons for that is because they're most likely going to be a pretty quick flip. I don't hold on to Keen for a very long amount of time, so that was really exciting. And then on top of that, you can make some pretty decent money on Keens. I'm trying to make at least a $20 profit on all of my flips. I don't always succeed, but usually when it comes to Keen, I do. And Keen also sells well for kids. It's one of those rare brands that does well for kids, men's, or women's. Obviously, you don't usually make as much on the kids pieces as you do men's and women's, but I still do pretty well with it, so I was really happy with that flip. The next sale was over on Mercari, and this was, it turned out to be okay, but what happened was I sold this pair of silver jeans that were no longer in my possession. They just somehow were still listed on Mercari, but I no longer had them in my possession. So what I did was I actually reached out and I said, hey, I'm so sorry, I don't have these anymore. They sold to someone else ages ago. We can obviously cancel this sale and you'll get a full refund, or if you want, you can look through my store and see if there's anything else you want up to a $35 value. She had purchased those silver jeans for $25, so I was basically saying, I'll give you something even a little bit more expensive if you'll take it in these jeans' place. So she actually took me up on my offer. I've used that before on all of my different platforms when maybe I accidentally sell something that's already sold or I just can't find it. And I'd say maybe 5% of the time people say, okay, let me look around. But she actually did, and she found this pair of Baldwin, the 10, the skinny jeans in a women's size 28. They were mid-rise with a dark wash. I had picked them up at a Plato's Closet deposit for $5. And so I sent those instead, and I made a net profit of $16.27. So that's just a little tip. I mean, I would be really nice about it. Own up to the fact that you made a mistake. You know, you shouldn't be selling things that are no longer in your possession. I always start with, I'm so sorry, but here's the situation. I'm very honest with them, and I give them those two options. And if they want to cancel the transaction, obviously I'm like, of course, I apologize again. You know, I apologize for the inconvenience. And I just try to do right by the buyer. So this time it worked out, I think, hopefully in both of our favors. That's not always the case, but that's a little tip for an occasion where maybe you accidentally sell something that you no longer have. Moving on to Wednesday, which was March 15th. On Mercari, I sold this K-Swiss apparel blue 7.0 tennis skirt in a women's size 10. That sold for $12. I had $2 into that as well from the same reseller whose clothing I bought out because she didn't want to resell clothes anymore. So I made a net profit of $7.95. Truth be told, I probably should have just sold that to like Plato's Closet or something, but these little skirts, any shorts, those kinds of things are really easy to photograph and list. So I just went ahead and took the time to photograph and list it and made $8 essentially to put towards better inventory. I had a Kitizen sale this day. It was this pair of Nike Dry Fit pink and black lined pull-on athletic shorts in a youth size medium. For a while, my daughter just lived in these kinds of shorts, but these no longer fit her. So she actually photographed these herself and I listed them for her. They sold for $11. Granted, that's with free shipping. So we made a profit on those shorts of $4.91. But $4.91 to a child is very exciting. Do you know what they can do with that at places like Five and Below and at places like the Dollar Tree? I mean, they can get a lot of goodies with that amount. So there you go. Moving on to Thursday, which was March 16th. Here we go with another Keen sale. This was a pair of aqua hiking outdoor waterproof sandals in a women's size 10. I got those at a local Goodwill, and those sold for $35, which is a little bit less than Keens typically sell for me. I feel like they typically sell for at least $40, but I was willing to move them for $35. I had $10.39 into them from my local Goodwill, so I made a net profit on those hiking sandals of $17.61. At this point in my life, my family, we like to go hiking a lot, especially when we go visit my parents in Seattle. We always go to like Olympic National Park or Rainier National Park. We go on these long epic hikes, and basically every single person in my family, except for my husband, has a pair of these hiking sandals from Keen. They're just so perfect to hike in. You know, sometimes when you're hiking, there'll be like streams that you have to walk through so your feet get wet, but like these are meant to get wet. They will dry off really fast. I don't know. They're just amazing. They're not the cutest thing in the world, but like I said, we all own a pair except for my husband who refuses. And I like to think that his feet suffer for his vanity. You know, like he just doesn't think that they're cute enough to put on his feet, and therefore I think his feet are in a little bit more rough shape than all of ours because, you know, he cares too much about how his feet look. The next sale was over on eBay, and it was this pair of Perry Ellis Portfolio black slim fit dress pants in a men's size 31 by 30. These I got in a ThredUp rescue box for men. Those ThredUp men's rescue boxes, some of them are amazing and some of them are garbage. I feel like there's not a lot of in between. This came from a garbage box. So I had about $3 into those. They sold for $15. I made a net profit of $10.93. These pants are hard to sell on their own. I feel like a lot of times people are looking for like a set, like a suit set, you know, a jacket and pants. Those were listed for a decent amount of time. I was just happy to see them go. The next thing to sell was this Lorna Jane maroon strappy sports bra in a size small. Lorna Jane is an activewear brand that a lot of people swear by. I don't have the best luck with it. I sit on it for a very long time. I probably won't pick it up anymore unless it's priced really, really well. These I got actually at a local consignment store for $3.25, which is not bad. But I sold it for $18 on eBay and I made a net profit of $7.75. Now, the interesting thing about this sale is that this sports bra from Lorna Jane sold to the clothing company YMI. YMI is one of those juniors brands, you know, they sell like denim and t-shirts and stuff. I don't even remember where you buy YMI, but I thought it was interesting that this went to their headquarters. I wonder if they want to like study this bra and like basically copy it, you know, like make similar sports bras that are similar in style to this particular one. I thought that was really interesting. You know, a lot of resellers talk about sending inventory to really cool places, maybe to like movie sets or to famous people. I'm just selling stuff to like teeny bopper brands, so I don't know, I'll get there. The next sale on eBay was this Tommy Bahama tropical print short sleeve polo shirt for men in a size medium. This sold for $21.90. That was an offer that I sent out to watchers. And so I made a net profit of $8.39 because I had $3.92 into that item from a reseller. I bought like a wholesale pallet off of her. And I don't know why I'm saying my net profit on that was so little. I may have done my math incorrectly, but whatever. It wasn't a lot, but these like polo shirts by Tommy Bahama, they'll do okay. They don't sell for a ton. And I did sit on these and other polo shirts that I got in this style from this same reseller. I did sit on them for a while, but they will eventually sell. The next sale was over on Mercari, and it was this Fossil soap and skincare print crossbody purse bag with like a leather trim, and it had a pocket organizer on the inside. This I did not need to pick up. I was at a local consignment store. They were having, I don't know, maybe it was like a 50 or 70% off clearance, and I saw this at the counter as I was checking out, you know, like they were going through all my other stuff, and I just kind of threw this in there. I thought it was kind of cute. It had like vintage vibes. I don't know. But I had like $10.20 into that. This item sold for $16. Comps on this were not very good. Obviously, I was not looking at comps because I just threw it in the pile very last minute as I was checking out. So I ended up with a profit of $3.24. That's less than my daughter even made on her Nike shorts. But you know what? With $3.21, you can get a large fries and a large Coke at McDonald's if you have the McDonald's app. This is not sponsored. McDonald's does not know who I am, but boy, do we use this app a lot. Ba-da-ba-bum-bum, I'm loving it. You can use that McDonald's if you let me be in one of your commercials. I'm loving it. Next up, I sold another Tommy Bahama piece on Mercari. This was a blue 100% silk short sleeve button-up shirt in a size large. This one sold for $22. I, again, had $3.92 into this because it came from the same reseller that I bought a pallet off of. So I made a net profit of $14.74 on that shirt. On Kitizen, I sold this Ariat Tech Heat Series black long sleeve base layer shirt in a size large for women. This actually got a lot of interest, and it sold once before on Mercari, but something happened. I don't remember, like I either sent it to the wrong person. I think that's what I did. I think I did like a swapperoo, but it was between two different platforms, something crazy like that. The woman who purchased it was so understanding, but you know, I lost the sale because she never got the item. It did eventually get sent back to me from the person who, you know, received it incorrectly. So I relisted it, and it sold on Kitizen for $22. That was with free shipping because I do offer free shipping on Kitizen. I had $2.52 into that from a local consignment store when they were having a birthday sale. So I made a net profit on that top of $12.07. On Friday, which was March 17th, I sold nothing. Sold zero things. But on Saturday, which was March 18th, I had one eBay sale, which was this Calvin Klein red color block career sleeveless sheath dress in a women's size 8. That sold for $31.90. And I'll be honest with you, these Calvin Klein career dresses, I have seen these selling more and more recently, at least on my reselling platforms. I probably have like, I don't know, I probably had like between 5 and 10 of them listed, and they've been selling through. Just again, like I said, very recently, they've been selling more. I had $3.92 into that from the reseller that I bought a pallet off of. So I made a net profit on that of $23.50. I find these kind of career dresses by Calvin Klein so often, and I usually leave them behind. But now I know if I'm able to pick them up for $5 or less, they may not be a bad pickup, and I should be able to get that $20 profit I'm looking for. The next day of sales that we'll talk about is Sunday, which was March 19th. On Poshmark, I sold this Victoria's Secret red plaid pajama shirt in a size small. This I've had listed for like 3-4 years, something ridiculous like that. That sold for $10 with discounted shipping, and I had about $3 into it. I made a $2.03 profit after 3 or 4 years. So while it felt good to move it, it felt pretty sad to realize that that's how little I made on that top after sitting on it for so long. But you know what? As a result, my son can enjoy some French fries. So there you go. On Mercari, I sold this Goodfellow & Co., which is a Target men's brand, this gray shawl collar grandpa cardigan in a size medium. This was also something that came to me from the reseller who didn't want to resell clothes anymore. I sold it for $12 on Mercari. I had $2 into it, so I made a net profit of $7.95. Those were my sales for that week. Can you believe it? On Poshmark, I only sold 2 items that whole week. I'm willing to bet that the last time I only sold 2 items on Poshmark in 1 week was sometime in my first year of reselling. You know, as I was still figuring things out, I wasn't like taking it seriously yet. I wasn't very consistent with my listings. You know, in that period of my life, I was selling maybe like 1 or 2 things every other week. But when I started getting consistent with listing and relisting and doing all the things on Poshmark, since that time, I don't know that there's ever been a week that I've only sold 2 items on Poshmark in 1 week. And yet here we are. It was a rough week. So thank God for eBay, because on eBay I sold 6 items. On Mercari I sold 5. On Kitizen I sold 2. So for the week, I had a net profit of $184.24. For some of you, you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I would love to make that much. But again, for someone who's been doing this for like, I want to say 5 years, that is not a lot as far as net profit is concerned. I do think this was the week that I was on spring break and I was traveling. I wasn't really doing anything for my reselling business. I wasn't investing any time in my business, but still, that's a really low amount. So the next week of sales that we're going to talk about was not much better, but at least I had more than 2 sales on Poshmark in this week. So starting with Monday, which was March 20th, I did have a Poshmark sale. It was this torrid gray short sleeve waist high skater dress in a torrid size 0, which is actually like a women's large. So Torrid does use vanity sizing. If you see size 0 on Torrid, that's not the same as a 0 in like Loft or something. It's not an extra small, but it is actually a large. So you have to really kind of know your brands and know which ones use vanity sizing so that you don't market something online as the incorrect size. But this sold for $21 with discounted shipping because of a Chrome extension that I use called Posher VA, which will send out offers to likers for me on Poshmark 5 minutes after someone likes an item. So someone liked an item, 5 minutes later, Posher VA sent them an offer of $21 with discounted shipping. And so I made a net profit of $10.86 on that because I had $3.92 into it from the reseller who sold me a pallet of inventory. This dress actually got a ton of attention. It just took forever for it to sell. I don't know. People just wanted it for dirt cheap. Thankfully, I was able to move it for $21. On Tuesday, which was March 21st, on Poshmark, I sold this American Eagle pair of 360 Extreme Flex Slim khaki pants in a size 28 by 30. Those sold for $21 with discounted shipping because of Posher VA. I had $5 into them, so I made a net profit of $9.78. I've shared in very recent What Sold videos on my channel that American Eagle denim has just taken a nosedive. It's just not selling for as much as it used to, and it's not selling as quickly as it used to. So I don't pick up American Eagle denim anymore unless it's really special, and even then, is there such thing as special American Eagle? I don't know. On eBay, I sold this vintage Nike 90s yellow striped football shirt, or it kind of looked like a jersey, I don't know, in a men's size small. This I found at a local Goodwill. I found it next to another really cool and like vintage Nike piece. I found it next to a Fear of God shirt. Like there were just some really great pieces on that rack when I went to Goodwill that day. And it was strange because I don't normally go to the men's short sleeve t-shirt section at my local Goodwill. I just usually don't have time to go there. I will typically go to shoes first and then maybe like women's dresses, maybe women's jeans, men's jeans. I don't have time to look through t-shirts, but I just felt very inclined to do so that day and found some goodies. This sold after being listed for quite some time. Let's be honest, it's not like it sold instantaneously. I did have this listed for at least half a year, but it sold for $39.99, which was my full asking price. And so I made a net profit of $31.02 because my cost of goods on that was $4.99. Exciting. The next sale was over on Depop. It was this vintage 1990 Anvil. You know, just Anvil is like a brand that they sell blank t-shirts, and then you can get whatever graphic you want screen printed on it. But this was from 1990. It said so on the shirt. The shirt had like a graphic and it said end global warming, and it was in a size medium. I thought this was a really cool shirt. It actually came to me from the reseller who didn't want to resell clothes anymore. I posted it on all of my different reselling platforms, but had a hunch that it would sell on Depop, which it did for $25. That is with free shipping, and I did have $2 into that. So my net profit was $14.84. I believe I had it listed for $35 with free ship on Depop, and the guy was like, look, you've had this listed for weeks. Can you just sell it to me for $25? And I was like, you didn't even have to be that snarky, and I would have accepted your $25 offer, but I just went ahead and accepted it because I just wanted to move it. I didn't know who else would want this, who else was looking for something like this, but you know, I like the message of the shirt and I'm happy that it has a new home. On Wednesday, which was March 22nd, I sold 3 things on 3 different platforms. And if this What Sold video has taught me anything, it is that my List Perfectly investment every month is absolutely worth it. If I only sold on Poshmark, I would have made a net profit in these 2 weeks of under $120. That is so sad. But because I use List Perfectly and because I put all of my inventory on as many platforms as possible, I'm able to have a lot of sales on platforms like eBay when a platform like Poshmark perhaps just isn't performing for me. And like I said, on this particular Wednesday, I sold 3 items on 3 different platforms. And I think that that really shows the power of a cross-listing tool like List Perfectly. If you've been looking for a cross-listing tool, I do have a tutorial video here on how to use List Perfectly, and I do also have a coupon code that will allow you to save 30% off of your first month. The coupon code is just BECKYPARK, and I cannot speak highly enough about List Perfectly. It is something that I use every single day, and I love the owners of List Perfectly as well. So on this day on Poshmark, I sold this Beyonce gray I twirl on them haters sweatshirt. I got this at a local thrift store. It sold for my full asking price of $35 after being listed for at least a few months. I only had $2.99 into it though, which is why I picked it up. And so I made a net profit on that sweatshirt of $25.01. On eBay, I sold this really great piece by a brand that I had never seen before. The brand is Alabama Channon. I think that's what it is. It was this green sleeveless scoop neck tank top in a women's size extra small. This was made of organic cotton, and I actually got it in a women's mixed ThredUp box. It was the last box that I got. I unboxed about half of its contents on Whatnot, and then I just never got around to doing another Whatnot show, so the remaining half I went ahead and listed on my own. But this was a really cool piece. You could tell that the quality was there, and when I looked up comps, there were not many. There were not many pieces by this brand listed or sold, but the few listings that there were listed high and were selling for a good amount. So I went ahead and listed mine high at $39.99, and it sold for my full asking price. So I made a net profit of $34.78 because I'm saying I had nothing into that item. I made back the cost of that box during that Whatnot show. Now you may also notice that I modeled this piece in the listing. You know, I like actually put it on and took pictures of myself in it. That's because this item actually was for sale on my website first, but if it doesn't sell on my website, then I will post those listings on my various reselling platforms. However, had this person found this item on my website rather than eBay, they would have gotten a little bit better of a deal on it because I price things cheaper on my website and I offer free shipping. But I get it, eBay has a worldwide audience, whereas my website, like the only people who know about it are probably you. And that's why I don't rely just on my website yet. I am cross-listing those items over to my other reselling platforms once they've been on my website. On Mercari, I sold this Merrell red full zip hoodie in a women's size large. This sold for $22 and it actually sold really quickly. I was concerned that I'd have to sit on this for some time because Merrell doesn't typically flip very quickly for me, but it sold within like a week or two of being listed. I had $3.92 into it from the reseller that I bought a pallet off of, and so I made a net profit of $14.74. On March 23rd, which was a Thursday, I had 0 sales. And don't you worry, it was not my only $0 sales day of the week. There's another one coming. But on Friday, which was March 24th, on Poshmark, I sold this J. Jill linen stretch pink linen blend pull-on pair of cropped pants in a size large. J. Jill is a mall brand that I don't pick up a lot of, but I will typically pick up their linen. These I didn't even pick up though. They just showed up at my house because they were part of that wholesale pallet from the reseller. And so I sold them for $20. I had $3.92 into them. And so I made a net profit on those linen pants of $12.08. On eBay, I sold this Polo Ralph Lauren maroon long sleeve shirt in a men's size large. This sold for $13 and I had about $2 into that because it was part of a lot of clothes that a friend of mine just gave me before he moved. Now, I made a big boo-boo on this piece. It was actually on this piece and the next piece that I'm gonna talk about. I put the wrong shipping label on the packages. So these two items got shipped to the wrong people. They both reached out and they were both like, hey, this is what showed up at my house, but this is what I ordered. Thankfully, these two people were kind enough to let me send them new shipping labels, and they went ahead and sent these items to each other. They didn't have to do that. You know, on Poshmark, that's a pretty common practice. eBay doesn't even stick their neck out for you to, you know, arrange anything like that. But I went on Pirate Ship and I purchased labels and asked them very nicely, after apologizing profusely, if they would be willing to ship these items to one another. They did, and so I was thankfully able to still make the sale. I did lose some money when it comes to net profit because I did have to pay for additional shipping labels, but at least I didn't get like a ding on my account. I didn't have people who were, you know, super angry with me, and I was able to make those sales. Now, this already didn't sell for very much, right? It sold for $13, but once you factor in my $2 cost of goods, once you factor in eBay's fees, and once you factor in the extra shipping, that total literally drops to me making a profit of like $5. Not only that, but I also had to pay for extra shipping on this next item, which was this Anthropologie Dolan Left Coast Collection striped peplum sweater jacket in a size small. This was another thing that I first listed on my website, but it didn't sell in that first month, so I went ahead and cross-listed it using List Perfectly to all of my other reselling platforms, and it sold via offers to watchers for $34.90. I had $9 into that from a local consignment store. So once you factor in my cost of goods and the fact that I had to pay for extra shipping, once you factor in eBay's fees, that drops to like $17.21. So we just didn't make out very well with these two transactions. But like I said, it really was the best case scenario given the big mistake that I made in swapping those labels. So I'm super thankful that I had very understanding eBay customers. Sometimes you hear of just really awful people on eBay who want to get away with just crazy things, but thankfully my experience has been, for the most part, people are generally very lovely, and I want to believe the best in people. These two customers helped solidify that belief that people generally are good, and I was able to make a little bit of money. On Saturday, March 25th, again, 0 sales. But on Sunday, which was March 26th, we did have a few sales. The first sale was actually on Poshmark, and it was a 2-piece bundle. The first piece of that bundle was this new with tags Kendall and Kylie black floral V-neck blouse in a women's size small. That one I've had in my possession for 2.5, 3 years. I got it at a local consignment store during COVID when I went shopping, like by myself in their storage unit because everyone was too scared to be around one another at that time. And so I had 80 cents into that. The next item was this Lole, don't know if I'm saying that right, but it is kind of like an activewear brand. It was this coral full zip vest in a women's size medium. It was water repellent and windproof, and I had $3.75 into that from a local thrift store. This is a brand that I have picked up and carried in the past with little success. And so I was very reluctant to actually purchase this at my local thrift store, but I did the right thing and looked up comps and actually found that vests in this particular style were doing pretty well. That bundle sold for $40, which I was extremely happy with because at that point, that Kendall and Kylie piece, I would have given away for free. But it sold for $40. I had $4.05 into those two items, which left me with a net profit of $27.25. Not bad. The next thing to sell on Poshmark was this pair of YMI. Remember, that's the brand that bought that Lorna Jane sports bra off of me. But it was this pair of light wash denim cut off elastic waist pull-on shorts in a, what is it, like junior size small. These sold for $15. I got them for free from someone who used to go to my church. She was reselling in her high school years, but she recently left for college. So I started listing her stuff, and I didn't even want to list these shorts because I was like, these are not going to sell. I'm going to sit on them forever. They sold in like 2 days. I was so shocked. And so I made a net profit on those of $12. The next sales were over on eBay, the first one being this pair of Christopher Blue mid-rise floral straight leg jeans in a women's size 10. Those sold for $13. I was not expecting a lot from those, but I got them in that wholesale pallet, so I had $3.92 into them. I made a net profit of $3.95. I probably shouldn't have even listed those in the first place, but I did, and I made enough to take my son to McDonald's again. The last sale that we'll talk about for the week was by the brand Planet by Lauren G. This was a yellow batwing long sleeve casual tunic shirt in a one size fits most size. I did put the word login look in the title. This brand, I see a lot actually at this pop-up consignment sale that happens twice a year in my town. And I've never picked it up because they have it priced really high. Whoever this consignor is, they price this brand at like $30, $40. But I found this piece actually at a local thrift store for $2.99. So at that price, I was like, sure, I will buy it and I will try it. It sold for $35 on eBay, and so I made a net profit of $27.41. And this is another piece that I had on my website first. It didn't sell in that first month, so I cross-listed it using List Perfectly, and it did eventually sell on eBay. So I was very happy about that. So let's talk about my sales really quickly because this is the second week of sales that I'm talking about in this video. I won't go through all the numbers the way that I typically do, but on Poshmark, I sold 7 items. On eBay, I sold 6, and on Mercari and on Depop, I sold 1 item each. So in total, I sold 15 items for a gross sales amount of $379.88. Once you factor in all of the fees and any shipping that I paid for, that total drops to $297.33. My cost of goods for those 15 items was $46.70. And so my net profit for the week was $250.63, which is better than last week's, but still also very, very sad. I do feel like sales in the month of April have been better, but we'll see if that's actually true. You know, that's purely anecdotal. I don't really know until I sit down and run my numbers, but the hope is that sales get better, not worse. And now that I'm sourcing again and picking up items that I'm really excited about, and there will be a drop for the month of April on my website, probably the last Friday of April. But if you want to know exactly when it's going to be, definitely look in the description below and join my email list because those are the people who find out about my drops before anyone else. But I'm really excited about, listing some really beautiful and fun pieces on my website. I'm excited about like falling into a good consistent rhythm when it comes to listing and photographing and all that kind of stuff now that we're a little bit more settled in this house. Oh, that's part of the reason why sales suck so bad too at the end of March is because at that time I was really busy packing up the house. Anyway, I'm just happy to kind of be in a place where things are a little bit more normal. That will get upended again once we get to the summer and we go to Korea. At that point, sales will take a nosedive again, but I'm just happy to be in a place where things are a little bit more steady, and I do feel like my sales are reflecting that as well. So that is everything for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and if you learned anything, don't forget to hit that like button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!